Earth Day is an environmentally focused day of action that increasingly encompasses the full range of sustainability issues. Observed every year on April 22nd, more than 1 billion people all around the world now participate in this annual event. By mobilizing public support for environmental action, Earth Day has had a major impact on policy, legislation, and global governance. The event has shaped environmental policies and legislation at the local, national, and international levels. This includes measures to protect the environment, reduce pollution, and conserve natural resources. At the inaugural event in the US in 1970, there were widespread rallies, demonstrations, and protests calling for legislation in support of a clean and safe environment. This put environmental concerns on the top of the national agenda and led to the creation of the US Environmental Protection Agency in December 1970. It also galvanized support for landmark legislation, including the Clean Water Act in 1972, the Endangered Species Act in 1973, and the Toxic Substances Control Act in 1976. Earth Day has influenced global environmental governance efforts. It has contributed to the drive to address the interrelatedness of nature and all life on Earth. The United Nations officially recognized Earth Day in 1971, and in 1972, the UN Conference on the Human Environment stressed the interdependence between people, other living species, and our planet. In 1992, the Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit, the first major conference on sustainable development, saw the adoption of Agenda 21 by more than 178 governments. This was followed by the Earth Summit in Johannesburg in 2002 and the declaration of 2008 as the International Year of Planet Earth. The United Nations General Assembly designated April 22nd as the International Mother Earth Day in 2009. They published the Mother Earth Day Declaration, which is a political outcome document that contains clear and practical measures for implementing sustainable development. The UN celebrates this observance through the Harmony with Nature initiative, a platform for global sustainable development that promotes a holistic approach that is compatible with the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Earth Day has also influenced the annual climate meetings known as the Conference of the Parties. In 2015, the historic Paris Climate Agreement, agreed to at COP21, was formally adopted at a signing ceremony on Earth Day 2016. The origins of Earth Day go all the way back to the 1960s, a time of growing environmental awareness and activism in the United States. In 1962, Rachel Carson raised the national consciousness with the publishing of her book on industrial pollution called Silent Spring. U.S. Senator Gaylord Nelson came up with the idea of a national day to focus on environmental issues in 1969. Nelson chaired the inaugural event in 1970 alongside Representative Pete McCloskey. The Club of Rome published The Limits to Growth in 1972. It is the first report to model our planet's interconnected systems and warn that our growth trajectory exceeds the Earth's carrying capacity. In 1990, the name Earth Day was formally adopted, and Harvard University's Dennis Hayes, the national coordinator of the inaugural Earth Day, helped to launch the Earth Day Network to coordinate campaigns globally. In 2010, the Earth Day Network launched the Billion Acts of Green campaign, encouraging individuals and organizations to take concrete action in support of the environment. In the US, Earth Day led to the creation of agencies and the passage of legislation that significantly reduced industrial pollution. Earth Day also contributed to decreasing vehicular pollution by increasing demand for smaller, more efficient cars and encouraging the phase-out of leaded gasoline. The day also gave rise to the modern environmental movement, including key advocacy groups like Greenpeace. Earth Day has a proud international legacy of raising awareness, inspiring hope, and catalyzing action. The event mobilizes billions of individuals and organizations to participate in far-ranging activities that minimize our ecological footprints and preserve natural resources. Earth Day has generated 2.7 billion acts of green, including the planting of hundreds of millions of trees and annual cleanup efforts by more than 36 million people. Earth Day is a global movement that gives everyone an opportunity to contribute. There are thousands of activities aimed at promoting environmental protection and advancing sustainability, so there are a vast number of ways to participate. In recent years, Earth Day has become associated with specific themes like climate action, renewable energy, deforestation, ocean pollution, energy efficiency, and sustainable agriculture. The Earth Day theme in 2021 was Restore Our Earth, and in 2022 and 2023 it was Invest in Our Planet, which was a clarion call to businesses, governments, and citizens to act now on climate change and other sustainability issues. The theme of Earth Day in 2024 is Planet versus Plastics. This year's event focuses on reducing the harm plastic causes to all life on Earth. The goal is to eliminate single-use plastics, decrease plastic production by 60% by 2040, and end the use of plastics in fast fashion. The growth of Earth Day has been remarkable. On the first Earth Day in 1970, 20 million Americans participated in protests, festivals, and rallies, making it the largest grassroots demonstration in U.S. history. The annual celebration kept growing, and in 1990, Earth Day formally went global, with the participation of 200 million people in 141 countries. Earth Day used to be a one-day celebration in the U.S. It then became a week-long event, Earth Week, and then a month-long event, Earth Month. It is now a worldwide phenomenon that celebrates sustainability efforts year-round. So whether at home, at work, at school, or within your community, there are countless opportunities to participate. As individuals, we can make Earth Day every day by practicing mindful consumption and conscious voting. What started as the largest ever protest in the U.S. has become the largest secular observance on Earth. There are now more than 1 billion people who participate each year from more than 190 countries around the world. Early on, the event was about raising awareness, then it became a day of action, and now it's about sustained action on multiple fronts all throughout the year. The first Earth Day focused on pollution and environmental degradation, but as the annual event continued to grow in size, it also grew in scope. Support for a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment quickly encompassed advocacy in support of wildlife habitats. Whales were amongst the first species to galvanize support for protecting the natural world from human activities. That interest has blossomed into broad-spectrum support for biodiversity. The movement continues to evolve, encompassing an ever-expanding web of interrelated sustainability issues. Earth Day touches on a wide range of deeply intertwined sustainability issues. This includes climate, biodiversity, pollution, resources, and resilience. It also addresses social equity and justice for both current and future generations. By contributing to the expanded understanding of the interrelationships between environmental and other issues, the event has had a significant impact on global sustainability efforts. The UN acknowledges this interconnectivity, which is why a recent UN Earth Day statement explores the relationship between restoring ecosystems and ending poverty. This illustrates one of the ways in which Earth Day initiatives incorporate the interpenetrating dynamics of sustainability issues. The issue of climate refugees illustrates the interrelatedness of our problems and the ways in which they can be destabilizing and augur pervasive adverse impacts. The displacement of climate refugees puts major strains on governance systems, particularly as communities compete for dwindling resources. These strains can provoke social tensions and conflict. It is becoming increasingly obvious that individual components of the interconnected polycrises cannot be addressed in isolation. This means that in addition to obvious issues like combating climate change and biodiversity loss, we also need to explore the interrelated topics of structural economic impediments as well as social processes. Environmental issues often intersect with social justice concerns. So, for example, Indigenous peoples and other marginalized groups are frequently disproportionately affected by environmental degradation and climate change due to historical injustices, lack of political power, and economic marginalization. The relationship between environmental degradation and adverse health impacts has been documented by the OECD and the NIH, as well as others. Climate change is the greatest threat to human health in recorded history. Although we have yet to experience its worst impacts, at present almost 2 million children under the age of 5 die every year due to environmental factors like pollution, and 1 in 3 people do not have access to safe drinking water. The environmental health nexus is particularly pronounced in marginalized communities. Poor air quality, contaminated water resources, and exposure to toxic chemicals can result in respiratory diseases, cancers, and other health problems, which have been shown to disproportionately affect vulnerable populations. The event supports ongoing efforts to address sustainability, which is an essential part of effective mainstream governance, including regulations to limit pollution, enforce environmental standards, and promote sustainable resource management. Sustainability also has important implications for systemic financial stability, labor standards, and safety issues. Earth Day influences policy and helps us to advance legislation. It also inspires billions of people to be informed and engage in tangible action. Earth Day may be our inspiration to create a better world, but a holistic approach to sustainability is the pathway to get there.